Well, good morning, students, and welcome to the last day of school. We're going to be talking about civil rights, and specifically the civil rights that one has in regards to citizenship and immigration. Section 4, if you'll follow along, citizenship comes with both rights and, big word, responsibilities. Throughout U.S. history, immigrants have come to the United States hoping to attain U.S. citizenship. Federal government regulates immigration to the United States. Citizenship is known as the full membership and participation in the American constitutional system. There are people who live in America who are not citizens. And so how do you become a citizen? Well, there are a couple of ways. There is citizenship by birth. Jus soli is the principle of birthplace citizenship. It's the Latin phrase meaning law of the soil. And so most of you were born here, born in America, and consequently you are American citizens. But you can be born to U.S. parents living abroad. This is jus sanguinis, the principle of citizenship by parentage. For instance, my wife and I were living in Austria when our youngest son, Stephen, who is youth pastor at Northway, was born. And we were Americans living in Austria. So Stephen had dual citizenship up until he was around 15 or so. And at that time, he decided that he wanted to live with us, and we accepted him. So he became an American citizen. But he was born in Austria, but he was born to U.S. parents. So he is citizen jus sanguinis. The 14th Amendment says that all persons born or naturalized in the United States, is subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States. Now, Congress has applied some restrictions on jus sanguinis and also on jus soli. Some restrictions. For instance, if somebody crosses the border illegally, gives birth to a child, is that child an American citizen? It's debatable. Those are questions that have to come up, and there are answered. So we'll proceed. Citizenship, again, is full membership. How do you come? Yeah, it can be by birth or by the soil, but it can also be you are naturalized. Naturalized is the legal process by which an immigrant becomes a citizen. Naturalized citizen cannot become president. That man that you see there, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he can never be president of the United States because he was not born here. He was born in Austria. And so he can be governor of California, but he can't be the president of the United States. And the requirements for naturalization include a continuous lawful residence, the ability to read, write, and speak English, good moral character, belief in the principles of the U.S. Constitution, a favorable disposition toward the U.S., must pass a citizenship exam, and you have to take an oath. Now, this has been administered to groups collectively. For instance, the 14th Amendment gave to African Americans citizenship here in the United States. When Hawaii became a state or a territory in the state, citizenship was given to them. Some of you may or may not know that Puerto Ricans have citizenship, U.S. citizenship. They are citizens of the U.S. because Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States. And it is possible, rare, but possible to lose citizenship. This is a process. Court can declare someone denaturalized, that is, the legal process of taking away their citizenship if they discover that their citizenship was obtained through fraud. For instance, if you watch Magnum PI, the new one, there's that question of getting married. Did you get married because you really love the person or because you want to become a U.S. citizen? You can lose your citizenship by treason against the U.S. government. You swear an oath of loyalty to another country, or people occasionally just voluntarily give it up. Not very often, but that does happen some. And expatriation is the legal process of giving up one's citizenship. Sometimes it occurs when a person chooses to live in another country. Responsible citizenship, these are things that you need to learn and do. Trustworthiness, honesty, courtesy, respect for the rights of others, accountability, financial responsibility, self-reliance, respect for the law, patriotism. Those are all good values to have. Civic identity, support for individual rights, and the belief in limited and representative government. Don't get me started on that. That's a good thing. Limited and representative government. America is a nation of immigrants. We have always been a nation of immigrants, beginning with Columbus. Why has America gone from a land of a few barriers to immigration to a land with some restrictive immigration barriers? Well, initially the federal government encouraged immigration. Article 1, Section 8, Congress shall have the power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. And in 1870, keep in mind, this is after the Civil War, 1 in 7 Americans were born outside of the country. And the sources of immigration prior to the late 1800s, most Americans came from Northern and Western Europe, countries like England, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Germany, places like that. But after the mid-1800s, they came from Southern and Eastern Europe, more Italy and France and Spain and Greece, as well as Eastern Europe, Poland, Russia, Bulgaria, Ukraine, places like that. And they are very different people. They're, tend to be more Roman Catholic in the South, and up in the northern part of England, they were Protestant. So all these things, all these changes affected America. And in 1875, Congress enacted the first major restriction on immigration by barring criminals. You've done a crime, you can't come. And then the quota law of 1921 restricted the number of immigrants admitted from any country annually to 3% of the number of residents of that same country living in the United States. Well, at that time, most of the people living in the United States had come from Europe. So guess where most of the immigrants continue to come from? Europe. And then the National Origins Quota Act of 1924 restricted immigration by country and established a total of 165 immigrants. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Virtually all the Arabs, East Indians, and Asians, forget it. You're not coming. It's mostly Europeans, and mostly Europeans and people from Africa. Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965 did away with the country quota system that favored Europe. They allowed 290,000 immigrants, 120,000 from the Western Hemisphere, 170 from the Eastern Hemisphere, that would be Asia and China, places like that. And then the special preference was given to certain job skills. If you had a job and they couldn't find an American to do it, you could come. In 1990, the Immigration and Nationality Act was updated, and it allowed 675 instead of 290,000 immigrants. And you can see, I would encourage you to study this chart and think of what was going on during various periods of time and why. You can see here that most of the people came from Europe, and then that was very, very few people came during this period. What was going on during that period? That's Depression and World War. And then how it changed in the latter period. So be up to speed on that. Situation today, an undocumented alien is someone living in the United States without authorization from the government. It's estimated in 2014 that we had about 11 million undocumented aliens living here in America, out of a population of roughly 330 million. And deportation is the legal process of forcing a non-citizen to leave the country. Some people come, they have tourist visas, and they decide to stay after their visa has expired. Some cross the border illegally from Mexico, and most of those people are hardworking. They stay here for a time to send money back to their families. And they work in fields such as agriculture, construction, and things like that. What do you think about illegal immigration? Well, some people say, well, undocumented aliens take away jobs and they're drain on government services like schools. They get here, they're illegals, they build houses, sure, but they are building houses where an American could build that house. And they go to school and they get sick and things like that. And who pays for that? Well, American citizens. And they would say it's wrong for people to enter this country illegally with the intention of staying permanently. However, again, most immigrants are hardworking people trying to build a better life, and that's certainly true for many of the Hispanics. They contribute to the U.S. economy by paying taxes. Now, they don't pay income tax. They pay taxes just like you do on buying groceries and buying gas and things like that, goods and services. And they do fill low-paying jobs that some Americans don't want. Border Patrol created in 1920, 54, large-scale operation to identify and deport aliens. 1986, Immigration Reform and Control Act gave undocumented aliens a one-time amnesty. That means they could be freed. Gave undocumented aliens a path to citizenship, and consequently, about 2.7 million people took that path to citizenship. I would encourage you to look at on Prager University, and there is Krauthammer does a Prager review on immigration, how we can fix the immigration policy. I think it makes a lot of sense. So see what you think. Illegal immigration continues to increase. Reform Act of 1996. 9/11 hijackers. I know you're just kids because you were born. I know you're born, but the 3 hijackers were here illegally, stayed on expired visas. 2 should not have been here. They crossed the border illegally. And so the idea to become a better country on protecting our borders was important. And then President Obama, he just signed an executive order giving temporary protection to immigrants. You couldn't deport an immigrant. If he got here, he was here. You couldn't deport him. And Texas, and as well as 25 other states, sued. This is all, you could stop the tape and read over that or read it in your book on all that happened, all the specifics on it. But basically, President Obama became frustrated with Congress and said, well, I'm just going to sign this, and he signed an executive order allowing immigrants to stay. Well, that created, you can understand a lot of people want to come to America for a better life. So what do you think? The states that provide subsidies to persons who are granted deferred action have standing to sue because the new guidelines will lead to more persons being eligible for deferred action. Is the deferred action for parents of Americans in lawful permanent residence program arbitrary and capricious? Did DAPA, that is deferred action for parents of Americans, violate the Administrative Procedure Act by failing to go through the notice and comment procedure? Does DAPA violate the Take Care Clause of the Constitution? What do you think? Do something. Do something. The Supreme Court went all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court decided they were divided, but the decision was for Texas, saying, no, Obama overreached. He cannot just do an executive orders, and they ruled his immigration plan unconstitutional. The question is, if that's true of DAPA, then why not DACA? And I encourage you to go to this website to check it out, see what you think about that. Okay, and last year, the deputy chair of the Democratic National Committee, Congressman Keith Ellison, who is still the chairman, marched in a parade wearing a T-shirt that read, and he was very proud of it, I do not believe in borders. In other words, everyone is an American that wants to be. What do you think? Is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? Why is it that people vote with their feet to come to America? And are we losing? See you later.